At the beginning of the story, we see a 12-year-old boy named Renato. His father buys him a bicycle.
Then Renato goes around the city on his bicycle and meets his friends. His friends are very happy to see the bicycle. Then Renato goes around the city on his bicycle and meets his friends. His friends are very happy to see the bicycle. Renato couldn't understand who was coming. Then the most beautiful woman in town walked in front of them. Her name was Malena. Renato looked at her. He became attracted to her and couldn't take his eyes off her. Then Renato followed Malena on his bicycle with his friends. Malena's father is a school teacher who lives alone. However, he is a little hard of hearing. Renato and his friends used to study at that school. Malena is married, but her husband is not with her most of the time because her husband is in the army. Renato and his friends used to study at that school. Malena is married, but her husband is not with her most of the time because her husband is in the army. But since Malena was so beautiful, almost all the men in the city were crazy about her. Everyone would stand up to catch a glimpse of her. But the women of the city were infatuated with Malena, and they wanted to be as beautiful as Malena. Then we see Renato at school. Then he keeps thinking about Malena, because of which he can't concentrate on his studies. Then when school is over, Renato comes to Malena's house on his bicycle and sat on the far side of the road waiting for Malena to come out of her house. Then Malena came out of her house and called Renato to her. Then she gave him some money and asked him to bring cigarettes. In the meantime, Renato came out of his imagination and he was sitting there. Then Renato went home and stole his father's pants and went to the tailor
And asked to make it according to his size. But when his father came to know this news, he beat Renato a lot and said that you are still too old to wear shorts. Here, Renato knew that Malena was married. Even then, he thought about Malena. One night, he climbed a tree and watched Malena from the window. He followed Malena day and night. One night, Renato secretly saw Malena dancing in the room. Then Malena came into the room, and seeing this, Renato became very happy. But he was imagining all this. The next day, when Renato was following Malena on his bicycle, he saw that everyone in the city, from the rich to the poor and even the big officials, were only looking at Malena. Everyone was looking at him with a bad eye. Because of looking at Malena like this, the wives of those people used to say the opposite to Malena and dislike her. Because those women do not want their husbands to look at other women. But Malena does not answer anyone. She is always silent. She is very loyal to her husband. After that, Malena came to her father. She used to come here every day. Because Malena's father is very old, and he has to take medicine like time. So Malena always has to come here to take care of her father. Renat also follows Malena here and keeps watching them secretly. The next day, we see some army officers and some government people coming to the city and announcing on the microphone that some people have died in the war, and Malena's husband is among them. Hearing this news, the people of the city become restless to find Malena, and everyone becomes very happy, because Malena is now alone. After that, Malena started crying a lot after losing her husband. She loved her husband a lot, but now Malena is alone. So she left her house and started living with her father. Renato was watching Malena from outside that Malena was crying. After a few days, Renato secretly stole the clothes that Malena had left to dry, and at night he touched the clothes and fell asleep thinking about Malena. The next morning, when his father came into the room and saw the clothes, he scolded Renato a lot, and his mother beat him a lot. Then his father locked him in a room. Renato was locked in the room like this for 3 days. And because he was not fed properly, he became ill. Then Renato's parents called a doctor. After seeing Renato, the doctor told him that he should eat on time. And he told him to go outside for a walk in the open air. Then Renato took his bicycle and went out. Here Renato sees that the women of the city are spreading bad news about Malena. They say that Malena has bad relationships with the people of the area. And some men also say bad things about Malena. But Renato knows that Malena is not that kind of girl. The next day, when Malena's father was teaching at school, he received a letter, and it said that your daughter is very bad, and many people in the city are having affairs with her. Hearing this, Malena's father gets very angry and throws Malena out of the house. Then Malena came to her own house. One night when Renato was watching Malena from a tree, he saw that Malena was having an affair with an officer in the city. Renato was very upset. When the officer came out, a dentist came and attacked him because that man also liked Malena. Then the dentist's wife came there with the police and said that Malena was having an affair with her husband, and she filed a case against Malena. After that, this incident spread like wildfire. Malena is having an affair with a married man. Hearing all this, Malena gets very tense, and she goes to a big lawyer in the city and asks him to fight this case. That lawyer wants to take advantage of Malena, so she agrees to fight Malena's case. Then, when the court hearing starts, Malena's lawyer says that Malena has no relationship with the dentist, and that officer is just a friend of Malena. In the end, Malena's lawyer wins this case. Then he comes to Malena's house. Then Malena gives him face. But the lawyer's face was too much. So the lawyer started to make his face. Renato was watching all this secretly. At that moment, he fell down from the tree. And because of this, he got a lot of injuries in one of his hands. From then on, Malena started meeting that lawyer. Because Malena was not getting any work. And to meet her expenses, she had to obey the lawyer. Because the lawyer paid all her expenses. But when lawyer's mother comes to know about this affair, she comes to beat him and says, "You have ruined our name." Then she breaks up with Loy and Malena. After that, Malena is alone again. No one wants to give her any work. And the pension she used to get from her husband has also stopped now. One night, Malena cuts her hair short. Because the people of the city are only spreading slander in her name, where she has done nothing. So now she becomes bad on her own accord. The next day, Malena enters the city in a different form, and the people of the city see her. They are very happy to see Malena in this dress. Malena sits on a chair and takes a cigarette in her mouth to light it. Then some people come to her, and one of them lights Malena's cigarette with a lighter. Malena thinks that when she wanted to live a good life, the people of the city did not let her do that. And now everyone wants to take advantage of her helplessness. So she also started earning by doing bad things to meet her needs. One day, Malena went to a hotel with a man. Renato was watching all this from a distance. But seeing all this, Renato felt very bad. He kept an eye on Malena's room at night. And he saw that some people used to come to Malena's room every night. But because Malena did all this, the wives of those people were very angry with Malena. And they started hating Malena even more. Malena has now become very famous in the city. She used to go around with big officers. Renato started to feel hurt seeing all this. Because he didn't want Malena to do these things. He wanted to help Malena. But he was so small that he couldn't do anything. One day, Renato saw Malena going with a big officer. He couldn't accept it. And he fainted and fell down. Then his family thought that Renato was possessed by a demon. So they brought him to the father in charge. On the other hand, all the women in the city got worried about their husbands. Because of Malena, their relationship started to deteriorate. So one day, some women grabbed Malena by the hand in the hotel where she was spending time with someone. Those women grabbed Malena and dragged her outside and tore her clothes. Then they beat Malena a lot and cut her hair and humiliated her a lot. Everyone forced Malena to leave the city. Then no one there came to save Malena. What happened to Malena hurt Malena a lot. But she doesn't want to endure the humiliation anymore. So Malena leaves the city. Renato watches all this from a distance. After a few days, Malena's husband returns to the city. He is still alive, but he lost one of his arms in the war. The townspeople are completely fascinated by him. Then he comes home to look for Malena. Then he sees other people in her house. Those people's houses were destroyed in the war, so they live here now. Then Malena's husband asks the people of the town about his wife, but no one wants to tell him anything about what happened to his wife. Where is she? His friends also start talking about his wife and what she used to do when he was not here. Hearing this, Malena's husband gets very angry. Renato wants to tell his husband about Malena, but Renato doesn't have the courage to go and talk to him in front of him. Here, Renato knew where Malena had gone by train. So he left a letter to Malena's husband at night and fled. In that letter, it was written that Malena still loved her husband, and Malena's current address was written there. So Malena's husband got on the train and went to look for Malena. A year later, Malena returned to that city with her husband, and she was walking through the streets of the city. Then all the women of the city saw that Malena looked more beautiful than before. But now she lives with her own husband. And those women realized that Malena was no longer a problem for them. Everyone was surprised to see Malena's courage and determination. Everyone started talking about her with respect. When Malena went to the market, all the women who had beaten her said good morning to Malena and addressed her as Madam. Malena also forgot everything and said good morning to them. Then Malena was going home from the market. Then some fruits fell from her hand. Renato came there and helped her pick up the fruits. Then when Malena was leaving, he said good luck to Malena. Then Renato left with his bicycle, and he kept thinking in his mind that he would never forget Malena. And this is where the story of the movie ends. Friends, tell us how you liked this story in the comments. To see such great movie explanations, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will talk about a new story. Until then, enjoy our previous videos.